Looking for a fun way to boost your English? Quick chats, easy tips, and a whole lot of poppin' energy, all in one place. This is Podcast Popcorn. Let's pop into it and make learning fun.
Have you ever found yourself in your 20s, caught in that familiar whirlwind of studies, work, trying to keep a social life going, only to feel like your English speaking skills are just, completely stuck?
Oh, absolutely.
It's like you understand the grammar right, you know a decent amount of vocabulary, but actually speaking, the words get tangled, or maybe your mind just goes blank.
Such a common feeling. That wall.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating, isn't it? Especially when you feel like time in your 20s is just speeding up, slipping away, and fluency feels just out of reach.
It really does feel that way for so many learners, particularly the intermediate stage. You hit this plateau, this disconnect between understanding and, actually producing the language.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, the counter narrative that we see again and again in the research, it is totally possible to transform your speaking skills. And honestly, much faster than you probably think.
Faster? Really?
Yeah, and the best part, it doesn't mean you have to completely blow up your already packed schedule. We're talking small, consistent efforts. Surprisingly small investments of time that can lead to really big shifts. It's less about finding more hours and more about rethinking how you use the minutes you already have.
Okay, that sounds promising. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. Our mission here is to unpack those smart strategies, those daily habits, the real-life hacks that can, hopefully skyrocket your English speaking. And we've specifically tailored this for intermediate learners. So if you're around that A2 plus or B1 level, maybe you can handle simple conversations, understand common phrases, but want to get more fluent, more confident, especially if you're in your 20s, then you're definitely in the right place.
Right. And the core idea, pulling from all the best research and, actual success stories, is really about making every single minute count. Helping you stop wasting time on stuff that just doesn't work. And instead, channeling that energy into methods that actually deliver results.
Yeah.
It's about leveraging your time, that one resource you can't get back to, hit your English goals way more efficiently.
You're listening to a deep dive from Podcast Popcorn. So let's start with that foundation, time. You mentioned it's the one resource we can't get back. And in your 20s, wow, it feels like it's accelerating, doesn't it?
It really does. There's this almost frantic quality sometimes.
Yeah. Like you're juggling uni, maybe a first job, trying to see friends, maybe dating. It's just this relentless pull in a million directions and carving out big chunks of time for language learning. It can feel totally impossible, like trying to catch water in a sieve sometimes.
Exactly. And that feeling, that constant pressure, is precisely why getting clear on the truth about time is so critical. The sources are really emphatic about this. Time isn't just a resource. It is the most precious one you have. Full stop.
Right.
Think about it. You can earn more money, right? You can get new stuff. You can even study more to gain knowledge.
Yeah.
But time, once it's gone, poof. It's gone forever.
No rewinds?
No rewinds, no saving it for later. It's non-renewable. And that means every choice you make about how you spend it, especially on big goals like mastering a language, carries, enormous weight. It's not meant to make you anxious, though. It's actually meant to be motivating, to help you be more intentional.
Okay, so time is finite, incredibly valuable. Why then are the 20s specifically always highlighted as this kind of golden window for language learning? What makes now such a crucial opportunity?
Like a confluence of factors, really. It's a sort of perfect storm for self-investment in language. I mean, obviously you can learn at any age. Our brains are amazing.
True.
But your 20s often combine a few key advantages. First, neuroplasticity. Your brain is still super flexible, It forms those new language connections maybe a bit more efficiently than later on. Things can stick a bit easier.
Okay, brain power.
Then there's often this growing independence, right? More control over your schedule compared to when you're a teen, or maybe even compared to later life with more fixed commitments. You can actually choose to allocate those small pockets of time if you decide to.
Right, that autonomy.
And thirdly, it's that forward-looking perspective. You're mapping out careers, dreaming of travel, making global connections. Better English directly opens doors, tangibly.
How so?
Better jobs, for one. International companies, roles needing cross-cultural skills, maybe working abroad. Huge travel benefits, too, connecting with locals, having deeper experiences, not just relying on phrase books.
Yeah, that makes a difference.
And, honestly, A massive boost in confidence, not just in speaking, but overall. Feeling capable, navigating the world. Investing in English now isn't just learning a skill, it's genuinely enriching your whole life path.
Okay, so if time is precious and our 20s are prime time, what about those, common study methods, the intense cramming sessions, like spending 4 hours straight on a Sunday, feeling totally wiped, then doing nothing for a week?
Or that weekend immersion course where you're just exhausted by Monday.
Exactly. Are those actually effective considering how valuable and, non-renewable time is?
It's a great question because it gets to the heart of why so many people get stuck. The clear catch, according to the research, is that those sporadic bursts, even if they're super intense, are just not very efficient for long-term fluency, especially not for speaking.
Why not?
Your brain just doesn't integrate information well that way. It prefers things spread out. Think about building muscle at the gym, right?
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't go once a week for 5 hours straight and expect amazing results. You'd probably just get injured or burn out completely.
Makes sense.
Instead, the real game changer, the core principle, is small, consistent, daily effort. Like even just 15 minutes a day. Seriously.
Just 15 minutes.
Yeah. The research is overwhelming on this. That consistent, bite-sized approach transforms speaking skills surprisingly fast. It taps into how our brains learn best, something called distributed practice or spaced repetition.
Okay.
When you expose your brain to the language in short, regular hits, you're not just memorizing, you're building and strengthening pathways. Each little session reinforces the last. It builds momentum drop by drop. It lets your brain actually consolidate and automate the language, which is what you need for speaking on the fly.
Drop by drop, I like that. Okay, consistency, not just cramming.
Yeah.
And a tool that kept coming up in our sources, something called a secret weapon for this kind of consistent practice, are these things called graded readers. For anyone listening who hasn't heard of them, what exactly are graded readers?
Right. So graded readers are essentially simplified books, but they're very carefully designed. They're written specifically for English learners at specific levels. So for intermediate learners, A2+ or B1, you'd find books written using vocabulary and grammar that you can mostly understand, maybe stretching you just a tiny bit.
So they're not too hard, not too easy.
Exactly. That's the key. They hit that sweet spot. They avoid that overwhelming frustration that makes you want to quit, but they're not so simple that you get bored or don't learn anything.
Yeah.
It makes reading much more engaging, more like absorbing the language naturally without constantly reaching for a dictionary.
Okay, I can see how that helps reading, but why are they a secret weapon specifically for speaking? That feels a bit counterintuitive. Reading, improving speaking.
Ah, yes. That's where the magic really happens. It works on multiple levels for speaking. First, that level appropriateness is key because it matches your level. Your brain isn't overloaded just trying to decode. It can actually pay attention to the patterns, the flow, how sentences are built. This makes practice less frustrating, so you stick with it.
Okay, less frustration, more consistency.
Exactly. Second, they are fantastic for picking up vocabulary and grammar implicitly. You're not memorizing lists. You're seeing useful, everyday words and phrases used naturally in a story.
In context.
Precisely. In context. Your brain just absorbs these patterns organically. Things like common idioms, phrasal verbs, sentence structures, they just seep in. It's much more like how you learned your first language. You get a feel for it.
Interesting.
And third, and this is maybe the biggest boost for speaking full, almost all good graded readers come with audio, like professionally narrated audio.
Okay.
This is the synergy. Listening while you read, it does wonders for your pronunciation, your rhythm, your intonation. You start to hear how English naturally sounds, the pauses, the stress, the linking between words.
Things you definitely don't get from just reading silently.
Absolutely not. This combo trains your ear and your mouth. It builds that mental sound library, making you sound more natural and be understood more easily when you speak yourself. It bridges that gap between knowing the words and actually using them effectively.
That listen and read combo sounds really powerful. And didn't our sources have a real-life example? Someone named Sarah?
Yes. Sarah's story is such a perfect illustration of this. She was 21, a university student, really bright, understood English well when reading or listening. But speaking, total knot in her stomach.
Yeah, I can relate to that feeling.
Hesitant, lots of pauses, felt unnatural. She'd be mentally translating, and by the time she had the sentence ready, the conversation had moved on. Felt really embarrassed.
So what did she do?
She committed to something super small. 15 minutes a day with a graded reader. But And this is crucial. She didn't just read. She listened to the audio and she mimicked the narrator.
Mimicked, like repeated out loud.
Exactly. She'd pause the audio, repeat the sentence, trying to copy the intonation, the rhythm, everything, focusing on how the words flowed together.
And the results? You said they were fast.
Unbelievably fast. Within just 1 month of this 15-minute daily habit.
Wow.
She started confidently using new phrases she'd picked up directly from the reader. Things like, I couldn't believe my eyes, or it's worth a try. They just started flowing naturally in conversations with their friends.
That's amazing. Not just knowing them, but using them.
Exactly. It wasn't about definitions. It was about integration into her active spoken English. The story is just such clear proof. Small, consistent effort with the right tool, the audio-supported graded reader, leads to rapid, real-world results in speaking.
Okay, I'm definitely sold on graded readers. That sounds like a game changer. So for someone listening right now feeling like Sarah did, how do they actually start? What are the practical steps?
It's pretty straightforward, thankfully. The sources give clear advice. First, selection. You absolutely need one at your level. A2 plus B1 means looking for level 3 or 4 in series like Penguin Readers, Oxford Bookworms, Cambridge English Readers. Don't grab something too hard thinking you'll push yourself.
Right, defeats the purpose.
Totally. It needs to feel mostly comfortable, just stretching you a little. Second, build a daily routine. Make it non-negotiable. 10 minutes reading while listening to the audio, then 5 minutes actively practicing speaking based on it.
Where can you fit that in?
Commute. Lunch break. Before bed instead of scrolling. While coffee brews. The key is consistency. Make it automatic. Third, active learning. Don't just passively consume.
What does that mean?
Note down, say, 3 to 5 new phrases or cool sentence structures you encounter. Like, it's worth a try. Write them down. Then crucially say them out loud. Practice them. Repeat them. Mimic the audio. Imagine using them.
So you're moving it from passive understanding to active use.
Exactly. That's how you bridge the gap between knowing English and actually speaking it confidently.
That makes so much sense. And it leads perfectly into the next idea, right? Because graded readers are great, but they work best as part of a bigger picture of consistent daily habits. Good speaking doesn't just magically happen from random efforts.
Precisely. Fluency isn't an accident.
Yeah.
It's the sum total of embedding these small, consistent practices into your daily life, making English part of your routine, not just another task.
Like building a habit.
Yes. It becomes a natural extension of your day. And that continuous low-pressure engagement is what builds those language muscles over time, just like regular exercise builds physical strength. It's about building that identity. I'm someone who engages with English every day.
So besides the graded readers, what other key habits can people weave into their busy lives to build that fluency foundation?
Okay, so beyond the graded readers with audio, which is habit number 1, that daily reading and listening for 15 minutes.
Done it.
Another really powerful, often overlooked habit is self-talk. Literally talk to yourself in English.
Out loud.
Yeah, or even just in your head, but actively forming the sentences. Narrate your day. Okay, making coffee now. Need to get ready. Wonder what's for lunch. Or, this traffic is awful. Wish I was home.
Interesting. Why does that help?
Because it builds confidence without the pressure of an audience. You can experiment freely, low stakes. It activates the speaking part of your brain, gets you thinking in English rather than translate.
Okay, self-talk. What else?
Then there's mimicking native speakers or shadowing. Find short clips, YouTube blogs, bits of Netflix shows with subtitles. Listen, then rewind and repeat exactly what you hear. Focus on the sound, the tone, rhythm, intonation, how words link. Even just 5 focused minutes daily trains your mouth and ears to produce natural English sounds. You start to feel the music of the language.
So like muscle memory for your mouth?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And finally, reflect on your progress. Seriously. End of the week, take 5-10 minutes, jot down what you learned, new phrases, notice better pronunciation, felt more confident in a chat.
Why is that so important?
It keeps motivation high. You see how far you've come, which fights that stuck feeling. Plus, it lets you adjust your routine, see what's working, what's not. It's a feedback loop that makes your learning stick.
That reflection piece feels really key. It's easy to forget the small wins. But why do these small, consistent things work so much better than, say, one massive study session? What's the science behind it?
It really boils down to how the brain learns best. It loves repetition, especially distributed repetition, not cramming. Remember that path in the forest analogy?
Walk it a little bit every day, it becomes clear.
Exactly. Each small practice session strengthens the neural connections for language, the speaking muscles. It's called synaptic strengthening. Makes those pathways faster, more automatic. It's about making the language sticky and ready for spontaneous use.
So it's literally rewiring your brain bit by bit.
Pretty much. And reflection helps too. Recalling what you learned reinforces it. Seeing progress triggers your brain's reward system. It's like the gym analogy again. Consistent, manageable workouts build real strength, not one exhausting marathon session. Regular, intentional training is what leads to fluency.
Okay, consistency is king. Got it. But the reality check for 20s, right? Time just vanishes. It's so easy to get sucked into, well, unproductive stuff. Our sources mentioned time drains. What are the common ones? And how do we fight back? How do we reclaim that time?
Oh, the digital black holes, they're so real.
Yeah.
The big culprits mentioned are things like endless Instagram or TikTok scrolling,
Guilty.
where suddenly an hour is gone.
Yeah.
Binge watching shows, episode after episode, or getting lost in gaming marathons. These things aren't inherently evil. We all need downtime.
Sure.
But they often eat up way more time than we realize, time that could be consciously used for something like English practice. The goal is just to reclaim some of it intentionally.
So how do we actually do that? Beyond just be more disciplined, what are the strategies?
Okay, practical strategies. First, schedule it, like a meeting. Put 15 minutes of English practice in your calendar, daily. Treat it like a non-negotiable appointment, morning, lunch, evening, whatever works, but block it out.
Make it official.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Second, choose tools wisely and stick with them. We talked about graded readers at the right level. Don't get overwhelmed by trying too many apps or methods. Find one or two things that work like a graded reader with audio, maybe a specific website like BBC Learning English, and focus. Quality over quantity. Avoid frustration.
Good point. Don't download everything.
Right. Third, track your time. Use an app like Toggle or just a notebook.
Yeah.
Log your 15 minutes. Seeing I did it 5 days this week, or that's 1.5 hours total, is incredibly motivating. It makes the effort concrete.
Makes it feel real.
Yes. And finally, the direct swap. Catch yourself scrolling. Consciously put the phone down and pick up your reader, or do 3 minutes of self-talk. Trade 15 minutes of passive consumption for 15 minutes of active practice. Maybe even curate your feed. Unfollow accounts that drain time. Follow English learning ones instead. Create a supportive environment.
These are really concrete. And wasn't there another story, Jake, the gamer?
Yes, Jake's story is great because it's so relatable. He was 22, loved gaming, spent maybe 2 hours a day on YouTube watching streams and stuff.
Sounds familiar for a lot of people.
Totally. But he felt stuck with his English, wanted to chat better with his online friends. He had this aha moment, realizing how much time YouTube was taking without helping his English goal.
So what did you change?
He made a conscious choice. Didn't quit YouTube cold turkey. That's rarely sustainable. He just cut back from 2 hours to 1.5 hours.
Okay, manageable.
That freed up 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And he followed that directly into English. 15 minutes with a graded reader and audio, 15 minutes doing shadowing practice.
Simple swap, basically. And what happened?
The results were pretty dramatic and fast. Just 3 months later, he was confidently chatting away with his international friends, using new vocabulary from the readers, sounding more natural from the shadowing. He wasn't translating in his head anymore.
Wow, 3 months.
Yeah. It just shows how identifying a time drain, making a small conscious cut, and redirecting that time consistently towards a specific goal can make a huge difference really quickly.
That's powerful. But okay, let's talk about the other huge blocker. The fear, that feeling when you have to speak. The self-consciousness, what if I mess up? What if they laugh? It can be paralyzing.
Oh, absolutely paralyzing. And it's so normal, especially in your 20s when you're maybe more aware of how others see you. But here's the spoiler alert, the thing you have to drill into your head. Mistakes are your best friend. Seriously.
Best friend. That feels weird to say.
I know, but think about it. When you talk to native speakers, what do they care about? Perfect grammar, flawless accent? No. They care about connecting, understanding you. The fear in your head is almost always way worse than the reality. They usually just appreciate the effort.
Okay, intellectually I get that. But how do you change that feeling inside? How do you reframe mistakes so you're not terrified of them?
It takes a conscious mental shift, a mindset hack. You have to actively tell yourself, maybe even out loud at first, every mistake makes me better. And believe it, because it's true.
How so?
Every time you stumble, your brain gets invaluable feedback. That's not quite right. It highlights exactly where you need more practice or clarity. It's data. Embracing it removes the shame and turns it into a learning opportunity. It's that growth mindset idea. Mistakes aren't failure, they're stepping stones.
Okay, every mistake makes me better.
I like that. So once you start trying to adopt that mindset, how do you actually put it into practice? How do you start speaking more despite the fear?
Find low-pressure situations. Language partners are fantastic for this. Use apps like Tandem or HelloTalk. You connect with native speakers, often learning your language too, so it's mutual.
What do you talk about?
Keep it light at first. Don't jump into heavy debates. Talk about music, travel, hobbies, what you had for lunch. Relaxed topics. It builds confidence gradually.
And when you do inevitably mess up, forget a word, mispronounce something.
F it off, seriously. Little shrug, maybe, and then ask, oh, how should I say that? Or what's a better word? People are usually happy to help. It turns an awkward moment into a learning moment. Be curious, not embarrassed.
Okay, be vulnerable. Ask for help. Why does that work so well for fluency? Embracing mistakes like that. 2 big reasons. First, like we said, mistakes teach your brain what not to do. The correction sticks much better than just learning passively. It's learning by doing, by experiencing. Second, real conversation, even simple chats, forces you to think on your feet.
Right, it's unpredictable.
Exactly. You have to listen, process, find words, build sentences, all in real time. It builds fluency because it trains your brain for that dynamic retrieval and production. It makes you more agile, more adaptable as a speaker.
This has been so incredibly helpful, from understanding time to graded readers, habits, fighting distractions, and tackling fear. So, for everyone listening who's ready to just start, let's put it all together. What's that concrete 15-minute daily challenge they can begin right now?
Okay, here it is. The 15-minute daily challenge. Try this exact sequence for 1 week. See how it feels.
All right, let's hear it.
First 5 minutes. Read your graded reader while listening to the audio. Focus on connecting the sound to the text, hearing the rhythm.
Read and listen. Got it.
Next 5 minutes. Shadowing. Pause the audio after sentences or phrases and repeat them out loud. Mimic the intonation, the flow. Get your mouth moving.
Shadowing. Oh.
Next 3 minutes. Self-talk. Actively use 2 or 3 new phrases you noticed in your reader today. Talk to yourself about your day, integrating that new language.
Active self-talk. Nice.
Final 2 minutes. Record yourself. Use your phone. Answer a simple question like, what's your dream travel spot? Then, crucially, listen back to it. Hear yourself.
Record and listen back. Ooh, that sounds scary, but useful.
It is. It gives you instant private feedback. Just 15 minutes total.
That's super clear. And what can people realistically expect after just 1 week of doing that diligently?
Honestly, you'll feel more confident. That initial fear will start to fade because you're doing it every day, and you'll notice your speaking flow improving. Words will come a bit easier. Sentences will feel smoother. This method works. It's grounded in how we learn. You can trust it. That cumulative effect is real.
Fantastic. So wrapping this all up then, the big message seems to be value your time in your 20s. It's prime time for English. And focus on smart, consistent effort.
Exactly that. Your 20s are this golden window. Mastering English speaking comes down to valuing your time and using it effectively. Small, smart investments every day.
And the key strategies to remember.
Remember, graded readers with audio are your shortcut to vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. Perfectly leveled. Remember small daily habits that 15 minutes beat intense cramming every time. Remember to reflect on progress, actively cut time drains, and absolutely never let the fear of mistakes stop you. They're your teachers.
It really feels like an investment, doesn't it? Every minute spent now pays off later in confidence, opportunities, connections.
Hugely. It opens up careers, travel, deeper relationships. It's about enriching your whole life, not just learning grammar rules.
So maybe the final thought to leave everyone with.
Think about your future self, 5, 10 years down the line. Confident, fluent, navigating the world with ease because of the choices you're making now. That future you, they will absolutely thank you for starting this journey today.
Brilliant. Well, we hope you're feeling inspired. So what's stopping you? We'd genuinely love to hear from you. Drop a comment below what's your biggest speaking challenge, or maybe share your best English learning hack.
Yeah, let us know. And tell us what topic you want us to dive into next.
Definitely remember to like, share, and subscribe to Podcast Popcorn. And yeah, please write in the comments the title of the deep dive.
That's it for today's episode on Podcast Popcorn. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Got a topic you'd love us to cover? Leave your ideas in the comments. We're always listening, and your suggestion might be the star of our next episode. Until then, keep learning, stay confident, and see you soon.